It's bright in here today. Let me try to check my lighting out real quick, guys. Give me a second. I will see. The lighting here is weird. So, guys, what's up? August is come and gone. I'm gonna do a little bit of a recap review on this live. I'm gonna go live again today. We got a lot of boxing coming up, and so I'll be brief with what just happened in terms of how the month went. August was it was another winning month. You know what I'm saying? Boxing was obviously down this weekend. There wasn't fights. I didn't put any action on the goats in the house, brother. I didn't put any action on any of the boxing matches this weekend. I told you guys I wasn't going to do it. Albert Bell, those odds were just insane for me to put money on it. And then the Misfits boxing card, I told you guys to bet at your own risk. I didn't bet on the Hemphill fight. I just kind of sat it out. Ohio State opened the season up. I'm a diehard Buckeye fan. You guys know that. Grew up in Northeast Ohio. We had a huge game in Columbus, Ohio. I always tell my friends, if ever you have an opportunity in your life, wherever you are in your life, to go see a football game at the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, watching the Buckeyes, it is a spectacle. And we took on the number one team in the nation, Texas. I don't think they should have been ranked number one. That's neither here nor there. It was a defensive battle. 4 fourth down stoppages. Our defense stepped up. The young Arch Manning had all the hype. We had a freshman playing quarterback, Super Saiyan. I feel he outplayed him. That's the second time we beat Texas in 3 games. And if you're a Texas fan, I told you boys, you guys aren't going to come into Columbus, Ohio and beat us. It's not going to happen. So I'll leave it at that. And guys in the Discord, if you haven't joined the Discord, the link is pinned here. Become a Johnny Says Boxing Insider. It's a couple bucks a month. You get more access on this channel, but you also become part of our growing Discord community. We're at about 200 Discordians. And we also have, so in that group, you have access to, conversations with professional bettors. You'll see my UFC picks. These are all separate channels within the same Discord. Boxing, MMA, UFC, and we started an NFL and NCAA. My first week of college football, I did a 20-leg parlay. I hit 19 out of 20. I missed CF. I missed Central Florida. Central Florida on the money line, they lost 16-14. So that was the only game I lost. With fighting, we hit last week with the Dana White Contender Series. That's 2 weeks in a row. Dana White Contender Series week 1. I'm not sure. I think I went 4 out of 5, but week 2 and week 3, I hit 100%. So we're 10 out of 10 over the last 2 weeks. In the Discord, I give you those picks. We have fights Tuesday night, which is my Wednesday morning. So stay tuned to the Discord for that. But guys, I got the upcoming schedule. Sugar Nunez is fighting this weekend. One of my favorite fighters at 130. One of an exciting champion at 130. He's fighting. I'm doing the tape right now on Shishkin versus Iglesias. We got a card in the UK, Sandy Ryan. If you guys are into strength and conditioning, if someone like myself who takes pride in training the mind, training the body, Sandy Ryan, mate. She's fit, dude. She's one of my favorite fighters to watch train because she's in such good shape. Follow her Instagram. It's a good follow. The Brit girls, who else is in there in the UK? The same thing. I put Sandy Ryan and Terry Harper. Same thing with Terry Harper. These girls, you could tell what, the Brits, they, both men and women, they're really hip and into strength and conditioning in terms of like sports science, nutrition. It's the same thing down here in Australia. Every boxer down here has a strength and conditioning coach. Every gym, for the most part, will have an S&C coach. You still don't see that in America, which is interesting. America is, still a lot of these gyms are kind of run with that old way of thinking, the old timers thinking that strength and conditioning or weights make fighters slow. Anyway, my point is Sandy Ryan's boxing this weekend. She's a fun follow on Instagram. Sugar Nunez is fighting this weekend. I can't wait to do tape on that. Sugar is fighting Christopher Velez. We got Pedro Guevara fighting Adrian Currell. That's an interesting matchup at super flyweight. Pat McCormick. So that English card, you got Pat McCormick versus Miguel Paro. You got Mark Dickinson versus Troy Williamson, Sandy Ryan. A nice little undefeated prospect. Cameron Vong is on that card. And we got some other fights as well. So it's going to be an action-packed weekend. And boxing is going to be back. So we are going to be covering those fights. I already got odds all of the boxing stuff, guys, if you're in Australia, I recommend you use Bet365 for your boxing picks, only because the draw doesn't destroy your picks or your parlays. Sportsbet in Australia, if you pick a winner or a loser, the draw, you lose your ticket. So for my NFL picks, my NCAA picks, and my UFC and MMA picks, I use Sportsbet. But for my boxing, I use Bet365. And so right now we got Iglesias versus Shishkin. Shishkin's a big underdog. They're showing Marksby versus Kelly, Mick Conlon's fighting Bateson, Sandy Ryan versus Grierson, Dickinson versus Williamson, McCormick versus Ramirez, Oscar Valdez versus Richard Medina, Pedro Guevara versus Pedro Guevara, Adrian Curiel. That'll be a fun fight. And then the weekend wraps up, like I said, with Sugar Nunez and Kristen Velez. There might be some other fights. We're just not showing them yet. But before we even get and then we know what comes next week. We know what comes next week, the Bud Crawford card versus Canelo. This past weekend, I did 2 separate lives back-to-back. Those live streams are up on my channel if you want to check them out. In one of the live streams, it was me and Chilltown, TJ from Chilltown Boxing. If you guys know anything about Chilltown, this dude is a sharp bettor, a handicapper. His picks are spot on. Him and I sat down for over an hour, breaking down Bud and Canelo, what we see in the matchup. And I'm going to be going live with him again this week. The following day, I went live with Gary from 3D Boxing, Tommy Rainone from Paulie Malignaggi's show, and then Muscles, and we chatted for over an hour as well. That was a fun discussion. So those live streams are up on my channel. Go to playlists, Johnny Says Boxing Podcast. So that's where those live streams are always stored. And if you're new to my channel, all of these live streams can be found in the playlist, Johnny Says Boxing Podcast. Also, I'm going to be uploading my first Stats Don't Lie video in the last 2 weeks because I didn't do any last week. And the week before, all we had was Nikita Zoo. So I'm going to be doing I'm going to upload Osley Iglesias for Shishkin today. I'm going to give you my breakdown, analysis, and prediction. We're going to talk a little bit about, the hyped up Iglesias versus Shishkin. Shishkin, we last saw him versus William Skull. On the cards, it had Shishkin losing a unanimous decision. Those cards, in my opinion, were all over the shop. And then I'm probably going to be able to I'm going to do Sugar Nunez after. But I know you guys in America, I think you guys have, Labor Day tomorrow? So it really doesn't affect my schedule here in Australia. But I might wait until midweek to release Sugar Nunez just to see what the views. You guys are tapping in. Goat's back. Good to see Goat. That's my guy. Mike Ross, I hit on Ohio State. Darren Till, Albert Bell, lost on Saul Poppy. Yeah, and this is why I wasn't going to bet on Tony Ferguson versus Saul Poppy. I gave you kind of my pick during the week. I told you, I was like, I never heard of who Saul Poppy was. Tony Ferguson at one time was, the best 155er in the world. I was like, if I was going to bet on anyone, it was going to be El Kukui. So I was glad to see him get on top. Hand History Vault, Daniel Vega, Oscar Valdez fights this weekend as well. Yes, sir. Grunge, strongman equipment works great for explode. Yeah, so grunge, not just strongman equipment. So when I'm talking about strength and conditioning, I'm not talking about specifically equipment. I'm talking about using the body's primary, functional movement patterns. So any sort of variation, progressions, or regressions of squatting, deadlifting, or pressing. So moving the body triphasically in 3 different variations, whether you're moving from the seated position upwards or starting upwards and going down. And then you could add asymmetric movements to this. Asymmetric meaning targeting the body individually one side at a time. Think about a split squat, any sort of lunge, whether forward or reverse lunging, that sort of thing. Yeah, 99, we betting on the fighters this week. We got hella fight this week, UFC, CFB, NFL. We're stacked yet. Bro, we got football every week until 2026. Keep that in mind. And in the fight game, man, I can't, dude, we're busy, boys. We're busy. So join that Discord. I've been doing this ton of strongman and cardio. Grunge 77, one of my favorite strongman elements, because I'm a strength and conditioning coach, one of my favorite strongman elements that I use in my training is the Atlas carry. So I love doing the Atlas carry and also farmer walks. You guys really want to get bang for your buck, mate? Get a hexagon or a trap bar and, load it up, in relation to your 1 rep max. Let's say your 1 rep max is, my 1 rep max is 214 kgs. I weigh about 79 kgs, but I'm a strength coach. I've been trying to get to 3x my body weight for my deadlift, my trap bar. So once again, my deadlift, 214 kgs. I weigh about 79. I'm obviously not going to put 214 on a trap bar to do my farmer walks, farmer carries. But what I would do is probably put my 5 rep max on there. So I usually will put 180 kgs on my trap bar. I have my own little gym down here, and I'll do farmer walks back and forth for a couple laps. If you don't have a trap bar, you could grab a nice pair of dumbbells and do the same thing. Zach Gilmore in the house. What's up, buddy? Correct. Zach, Labor Day got me on extra day off. Get it, boys. Grimes, the drug Canelo popped for was drug to help cardio. I think didn't Canelo back in the day, wasn't it? He said it was tainted meat. Why did I think it wasn't Ostarine? The cardio one, if you know EPO, I don't know if it was EPO he popped for. But I'm not. I'd have to revisit. Rambler, Johnny, and the Tin Hen hairdo. Yeah, I don't know what Tin Hen is, but oh, Tintin. I can see it, man. I got to get a what did Tintin rock? Tintin was my jam back in the day. What was his little dog's name? I think I got to get a blue polo or something if I remember, like a yellow polo. Kiza, worst stoppage I ever seen, but I'm so happy my boy Tony got a win. Never thought I would see him win another fight again. Yeah, Kiza, watching him punch though is insane. Seeing Tony, it's almost like Tony Ferguson and a lot of these MMA fighters. It almost looks like their neck, their vertebrae, they get that infusion. I'm not saying this happened, but Tony, none of them move their head. Ferguson's punch like this. It's like, bro, like move that head. They don't move their head. It's insane. That's why as soon as one of these, they fight a real boxer, but it was good to see Tony get on top. Clenbuterol. Yeah, so clenbuterol was actually, Daniel Vega, clenbuterol was actually a drug. When it hit the streets, it was actually for asthmatics. So it was for asthma prevention, and I'm pretty sure, if I'm right, how clenbuterol works is it increases the oxidation in blood, which increases blood flow. And I think through their research of using it for asthmatics, bodybuilders found out that it also helps with cutting fat and burning fat. So I think I'm pretty sure it's not for cardio, but bodybuilders will use Clen in like a cutting phase to get them ultra shredded to kind of like quickly burn fat. Now, absorption. So if you're thinking about whoever said for cardio, that would be EPO. So cardiovascular, and you got to look at the body anaerobically and aerobically, just body weight conditioning, anaerobically using resistance, so any sort of added weight to your normal body frame. Clenbuterol isn't that. EPO, like what the cyclists use with Lance Armstrong, and I think they did a test. I think he won 7 Tour de France's, but one of those Tour de France's, even though Lance Armstrong was the scapegoat, you had to go I think you had to go all the way back to the 24th place person. You guys could fact check me on this. I think if you had to go from all the way to the 24th place person who was clean. Everybody else was on it. And what they would do is kind of like blood doping. So they would replenish their own like blood, and they would be they'd have guys on the side of the roads in these different stages with bags of blood to keep recycling it. And the thing about EPO, it's in and out of the body really quick. We have 2 different farmer carries, Yoke and Sled. Mar, slow week of boxing. Happy it's just about behind us. Bucks win and Bell win. Mar, did you bet on Albert Bell? Rambler, Johnny, I reckon I could beat you in a 5K. You have that fake jab. I haven't. You can beat me. You can beat me whatever you want to beat me, Rambler. The hand Hitchwell. Johnny, thoughts on Davis and Igarko? He's fighting. I forgot Keon. Give me a couple days for that. I really haven't thought about that fight, but remind me on it. Your money mates, Johnny, are you coming? Yeah, Mar, I'm going to be doing Iglesias and Shishkin today, actually. So it's my Monday morning. It's 6:45 a.m. The first Stats Don't Lie of my week is going to be Iglesias versus Shishkin. I've already done film study. It's going to be one of my Stats Don't Lie videos. We're going to talk about Shishkin's last performance. We're going to talk about Iglesias, 13-0, Shishkin 16-1. And Shishkin right now is I think he's a 7-1, 6-1 dog. So I'm thinking, I think we're going to have to get a little bit creative here if we want to make money on this fight. Maybe a method of victory, maybe a decision. It's tough right now for me to see Shishkin outpoint Iglesias. And, considering Iglesias' trajectory, it's tough for me to see Shishkin stop Iglesias. So right now, I'll jump. This isn't my official prediction. I kind of like Iglesias by decision. This is a 12-rounder. You have to keep that in mind. So we'll see. But I think that's where our money's going to be if we want to just go one-off on this fight. I would be leaning right now, Iglesias probably by decision. But like I said, give me about 2 hours. 2 hours from now, it'll be up on my channel. And then my second live stream of the day, we'll be talking about that. But you were talking about Keon. Is it Keon Davis? This upcoming pro box card. How come no one's talking about Sugar Nunes, boys? That's the fight I really... Maybe because... I don't know. Maybe it's because I kind of could get caught being a loyalist. Meaning that I remember covering Sugar Nunes before he was the champion. I remember it was the fight before he went to Japan to fight Rikishi. I covered him on the channel. And, I'm breaking down his record and I'm telling people, I was like, dude, this kid, no one's really talking about him. And then, you look at his record, 28 wins, 27 knockouts. You look at the loss he had. The loss he had was back in 2018. He lost a 6-rounder. Since then, he's been nothing but spectacular. The knock on this guy would always be, who is he beating, who is he beating? I thought the Mariaga stoppage, Iskandan stoppage. Rikishi took them all 12, which was a really exciting fight. We have to remember, though, Rikishi was 16-0. That was in Japan. That was for a world title. We also have to remember Anthony Kakachi went on record saying he didn't want to fight Sugar, and Kakachi vacated his belt just to fight Lee Wood. Granted, he had more money out of the bag. But what I'm saying is I think Sugar Nunes is kind of an unknown, even though he's a world champion. He's 1 or 2 viral knockouts away from people knowing his name on a household level. And I think this is going to be a really good fight. Christopher Diaz-Velez is definitely not going to be there to roll over. He's 30-5, 19 knockouts. Let's see his bet. He's coming off a decision win over Meza. Henry LeBron, you beat him. He lost Isaac Dogbo. That would have been 5 years ago by now. Shakur beat him 6 years ago. He's been in there with some good guys, but it seems to me, one of these guys, when you step up, things haven't gone his way. Doesn't have one-punch knockout power. Same thing with Sugar Nunes. 27 out of 28 wins are knockouts, but the way he operates, it's not like that. It's not like he's going in there and he has one-punch ability to get the job done. He's going to kind of drown you. He's kind of like, in my opinion, a more powerful William Zepeda. Similar front foot guy, similar volume, always in your face. And the thing about that style against Rikishi could crack. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of hesitant, and the odds were I thought the odds were pretty fair. And we ended up we took Nunes to go in there to become a champion. But I thought Rikishi tested him in ways that, I felt like it was a positive test if you're a Nunes fan moving forward about being able to withstand, as you level up. Now he's the world champion. Hopefully he gets at 130 some of the bigger names after this fight. We'll see what happens. History Vault, Nunes is minus 2,800. No reason to talk about him. I mean, he's a world champion. I always like covering world champions, especially guys that I feel his style is so fun. You could watch Nunes and not have to bet on him. If you're new to boxing, because this is a boxing first channel, the betting and the odds come second. I got to remind everybody. So my first goal with my channel has always been to educate people on the sport of boxing and do it from a non-divisive approach, do it from a non-opinionated approach. I do my best to be as fair as possible. If you guys want to, if you're new to the game and you want to watch a fighter who's a champion with a really exciting style, watch Sugar Nunes. So I disagree with History Vault. I think there's every reason to talk about him. Daniel Vega, Nunes fight to stay busy, fight no danger. Yeah, he should look good. He should look good. Return of the Mick Conlan. You boys betting on Mick Conlan. Johnny, you weightlifters are all stiff. I'd box rings around you. All right, Rambler. Dude, Rambler, it's your world, baby. Rambler, man, I hope you box rings around everybody in your life. Mara, that Pro Box card features Lamont Roach's brother Jordan. Scooter Davis, and Ben Johnson. Interested to see how they perform. Let me pull it up, Mark. Let me pull it up real quick. Pro Box. Jordan Roach. It's just sometimes in Australia, guys, we don't get. I know they play the Pro Box cards on YouTube, but sometimes we don't get the odds down here. Jordan Roach, not a great amateur, decent amateur. Had over 50, almost 50 fights, 4 wins. Well, that's just what BoxRec shows. BoxRec shows my boy Pavlik has like 7 amateur fights. Kelly had, I think, like 70 amateur fights. So you can't. BoxRec's amateur stats are always convoluted a bit. It basically depends on what each fighter's camp submits to BoxRec, and then BoxRec has to then verify, and then whatever process they have tick off, and then make a decision if these amateur fights were legit or not. So maybe Jordan had more amateur fights. 4-0 pro, 1 knockout, 5 foot, 22 years old. You know he's coming from his brother's one of the best in the world. You know he's gonna bring what he's gonna bring to the ring. He's fighting a guy who's 6-18. So the only thing you could say about that, 25 pro fights versus 4 pro fights. His first fight, this is interesting. His first fight, he took on a guy 15-13. So he's not taking, if anything, the guys he's fighting, 25 pro fights, 16 pro fights, 3 pro fights, 16 pro fights, 29 pro fights. Yeah, they're moving them. It's almost like they're moving them the best they can. You know what I'm saying? So let's see that whole card real quick. We're probably not going to be able to bet on this card down here in Australia. Pro Box. This looks like a feature card for a lot of younger guys. Who's featuring? Who's headlining? Jordan White versus Rene Tejas-Garon. Suleiman Sagaga's on the fight. There's some interesting matchups. We're probably not going to be able to bet on this card. I'm just going to be honest with you. Down here in Australia, I don't see us getting odds on this card. So Jordan White now is 19-1. He's already 28 years old. Adam Lopez, he's coming off Jose Matias Romero. I got to be honest, there's a lot of obscure matchups, a lot of prospects. It'll be a fun card to watch. I'll be tuning in. I'm not going to be able to feature any of these fights, though. It's tough for me to break down fights that I'm not getting odds for. So like I said, the Shishkin Iglesias card, I'm going to be breaking down Iglesias versus Shishkin, so that'll be a Stats Zone Live video. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the Sugar Nunes fight. And then, there's a fun UK card. I like watching the Brits. Troy Williamson's fighting on that card. Sandy Ryan's fighting on that card. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy week of boxing. We got Dana White Contender Series, the Tuesday Contender Series, which is our Wednesday here in Australia. The NFL starts next weekend. The Buckeyes are in town, baby. Go OHIO. All you Texas fans, I got to tell you, I told you don't bet against the Buckeyes. All right, we got History Vault. Johnny, you asked why no one is talking about him and Diaz. Yeah, I know what you were saying, History Vault. I guess History Vault, why I just mean on the mainstream, like at least the YouTube boxing channels I watch, and these guys do a great job covering fights. No one's really said Nunes' name since the Rikishi fight. You know what I'm saying? The bigger household names at 130 get most of the attention. I guess I was talking more about it from a universal narrative approach. People forget. There's guys, even champions, people forget about. Nunes isn't a guy you want to sleep on, and I'm talking from a fighter's perspective. If you're a 130 guy, you're coming up, you're in the top 15, and one of the sanctioning bodies, you might be fighting for a title eliminator. He's definitely, Nunes isn't a guy you want to forget about, was kind of my point. Kiza, Pat McCormick fighting this weekend, one of the best amateurs UK have had in the past 10 years. He's going to be a good pro. Yeah, we cover, I brought that up earlier in the stream. McCormick is on that card. Let's see what his odds are. McCormick's fighting Miguel Parra. Big favorite there. Koki, Nick Flaz. Is Nick Flaz fighting Pete Thompson this weekend? What's good? DJ Green in the house. Julius McCormick, Parra, no distance to lock. Julius, mark it down. Put that in the Discord right now, Julius, because I'm on you with it. I like it. You know what, man? On the down, I think I'm gonna take for my first time. I'm gonna roll the dice a bit. I usually some of my locks of the week lately that have been hitting have been knockout locks. You know, stoppage losses, but I think I'm gonna finally, pull the pants up a bit and take a decision lock. I think Shishkin, or I think Iglesias decisions Shishkin. And I think those odds right now are pretty tasty. So that's not my official, but that's kind of where I'm leaning. Koki, the Dalton Smith Matias fight it's falling out. Matias may fight in December. His team wants to fight in the. I didn't know about this. Okay, that's something to keep an eye on because Chilltown, or no, me and Tommy Raynone were talking about Dalton Smith versus Matias, and after we get off of that live stream, I called Gary and Muscles, and I was complimenting you guys. I was complimenting my channel and Gary's channel, and I was like, dude, we are Johnny Says Boxing and Gary from 3D. I was like, our subscribers, our channel together, we know our shit when it comes to fighters, because when I brought up Dalton Smith, I was just coming under the impression that internationally everybody knew about Dalton Smith. I thought, I sometimes forget not everybody covers every fight. And so I was talking about the Jermaine Matthew fight, the Canadian who came to the UK to fight Dalton. And then Tommy said he didn't really know about Dalton Smith. And then, I didn't say anything about it, but I sat with that and I was like, oh my God, just because we cover a lot of fights on our channels. And it's kind of something that sometimes I overlook. Yeah, Dalton Smith, is he a household name in the UK? Because I've been hearing about him for a few years. I'm still high on him. After his performance against Matthew, it's tough for me to see Dalton beating Matias, but we'll see. DJ Green says, Bet365 is finally in my state, but no con verify their account. That's weird. DJ, that's odd, mate. Sector MMA, Miller vs. Hunter was supposed to headline. Okay. Appreciate the note on that. Thanks for answering my question. DJ Green, Suleiman Sagawa is my dog. I got sparred. Nice, DJ. How'd those rounds go? Was he like some pros are good teachers and good coaches. Some pros are dogs. And I'm not saying one's worse than the other. Was he a good teacher in there, or was he a dog, DJ? Junior Smile, appreciate you. Joel, what's up, Johnny? What's your thoughts on Walsh versus Vargas Jr.? Joel, I'm not sold on either guy. I'm not, and you're just asking my honest opinion. Callum Walsh versus Fernando Vargas Jr. I'm not speaking any unknown theories when I say Emiliano is the Vargas brother we want to watch, right? No shade, but, Fernando is the namesake. Fernando, got into boxing a little bit late. Fernando holes in his game, but I got to say, he's brave in there. I like when Fernando Vargas Jr. is brave in there. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna come to fight. Callum Walsh is the guy being propped up by UFC Fight Pass, being propped up by Dana White, kind of being served win after win. We've saw Callum Walsh get dropped before against a guy we've never heard of. Callum has a whole country behind him. I'm not sold on either guy, guys. I'm not. I got to be honest with you. If I don't know those odds, and if Fernando Vargas Jr. is a big underdog, this isn't my exact prediction, but I would say just what I've seen with both guys, neither guy has proved themselves. I think this is going to be a matchup we'll understand. I don't even think after this fight we'll know who either guy is, by the way. So let's say Vargas Jr. is the dog. I would probably sprinkle something on the dog to beat Walsh. I haven't seen really anything spectacular about Callum Walsh that I would say he would be a runaway favorite against Fernando Vargas Jr. So that's all I could say about it right now. Junior Smile, I appreciate your support. Mar, overlook some of your older content, tons of gems. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Mar. Mar, man, we all find it, our timelines are all different. It's all about the here and now, though, right? Hand History Vault says, Johnny, what are your thoughts on Dichko versus Franklin? I just got a message on our Discord from Chilltown. somebody verify this. And Chilltown's always spot on. Chilltown, TJ, dude, the dude is like in the front line of like breaking news. I guess Franklin's pops, either his pops, his coach, passed away like either yesterday or the day before. And the way Chilltown, I just read the message this morning. The way I read this was that Chilltown was computing that info that Franklin is going to come out there and have the fight of his life. This is what he was insinuating to me. I'm going to wait, probably for another day to sit with that. But let me know what you guys find. Do your research. Look into that as well. DJ says, I think Iglesias for Shishkin fight goes the distance too. Yeah, DJ. We see eye to eye on that. Especially after watch the Skull Shishkin fight. And then watch how Osley goes about his business and he operates. And then this how big each guy is as well. One's a fight experience. The odds right now, too, on the money line aren't too sexy. But the odds right now on Iglesias to win by decision, I'm seeing on Bet365. So right now, Iglesias is $1.10. Dude. See, Bet365 has Osley to stop Shishkin at $1.33. But him to win on points is $4.50. That might be my sprinkle. 100 on Iglesias to win by decision gets you your money back plus $350. That might be my sprinkle. We'll see. What's up, Assad? He's from Uganda. Kiza, he's a name in the UK. Casuals wouldn't know him, though. Talking about Dalton. History Vault, purse bids is in 2 days. Hearn has no leverage at the moment. Adu in the house. Knights Vigione. Should I say Travolta? Yeah, this weekend I grew up in a different era. Growing up in the 90s in Northeast Ohio, and then in college my boys and I, we were athletes, but we would go to clubs to dance. You know what I'm saying? So I like dancing, man. I listen to all types of music. I listen to everything from doo-wop. Some of my favorite era is like the 50s pre-doo-wop era, like Richie Valens, Buddy Holly, Benny King. And then I'll go all the way to the 60s Motown era with the Four Tops, the Temptations, and then the 70s, the Commodores, the Doobie Brothers. I'll do the 80s with everyone from like Elton John to Lionel Richie solo stuff. And then in the 90s, obviously hip hop, R&B was my jam. But then I got into punk rock music, and then in college I got into country music. And so I listen to everything. If you listen to my playlist, you'd be insane. You'd be like, dude, this dude definitely has bipolar. Not bipolar. This dude's definitely all over the shop. But music is one of my favorite outlets. It's a little fun fact you guys don't know. I used to play in a band too. So the years I spent in Long Beach, I was playing in a reggae band. So like beach reggae. Think like Dirty Heads, think Sublime. So that type of music in my mid-20s. So music's always been a part of my life. GMS put on the elect. Think Ray Ford could beat any of the champions. Do I think Ray Ford could beat the guys at 130? We'll see how Fulton looks, and we'll see, how. Ask me after that fight. I don't think Ford does well against Nunes. I was going to take Kakachi over Ford. I got to be honest with you. I like Kakachi I was going to take Anthony Kakachi to beat Ford. So Ford's not one of these guys that I think is a sort of world beater. I like how he keeps sort of developing. I like his development recently. There's just some elements of his game that he's a great athlete, great talent. Boxing's a tough sport, guys. Even at the highest level, I don't know if Ford would beat Foster. I don't know if he'd beat Shock. I don't think I would take him against, like I said, against Fulton either. I don't think I would take him against Nunes. I think even if he were at 26, I would take some champions at 26 to beat Ford. I think Espinoza would stop Raymond Ford. And that's not even supposed to be controversial. So I don't know. Raymond Ford, for some of the athletic gifts he does well, he has some shortcomings as well. Not many boxers are 100% well-rounded anyway in this day and age. And there's some matchups at 26 that would be bad for him, and there's the champions at 30 would be bad for him, I think. It's just my opinion. DJ Green, Suleiman is very underrated power, and he's both. Very good teacher, but when he says, come on, let's work. Nice, DJ. So he's a good communicator then. After grad school, I used to teach for this company. We would work with corporates, and it was a communication course. So we would teach people, corporates, not only how to communicate within sort of like their interpersonal relationships, their intimate relationships, communication is key, but we would also teach public speaking. And one of the elements, though, about learning and understanding communication is either nonverbal communication when you're in somebody's space, reading their body language, but also like in sparring, DJ says, come on, let's work. That's a cue. Those are simple words, but through pattern recognition, when he says that, he's also telling you, all right, bite down your mouthpiece, keep your chin down. I need to get some good exchanges here. I'm going to put myself in some riskier positions. I want to see how you handle it. And also, I got respect for you. So I want to see how I handle what I'm giving you and you giving me in return. So it sounds to me he's a thinker. Thanks for sharing that insight with us, DJ. Raw Dog Jr. has Pop and Huevos and Bloodline. GMS, I bet the distance on Walsh Vargas scrap. History Vault, Matias turned down the turkey offers, so they're purse bidding to compete. Okay, I didn't see that. Good looking out, boys, on that little note. Joel in the house. I'm leaning towards Walsh. Nice. History Vault, he lost his dad. Okay, so we're talking about Franklin. It's not insider information. The only insider information I've gotten so far is me telling you guys about the message I got from Chilltown. And he brought this up. And when TJ messages me, it's always with intent. He's not a small talker. Chilltown's not a guy that him and I will talk about the weather. You know what I'm saying? So when he messages me, it's always specificity. It's always stuff like this. And from what I'm getting, rumors around the block, I think Franklin people are expecting him to have like an exceptional performance. Fresh BX, if you like the Iglesias by decision, the over 8.5 is currently at plus money. Might be some. Thanks. Good looking out, Fresh BX. I'm gonna really sit with that option. Like I said, I've already done my film study. I haven't done a Stats Don't Lie video in over a week, and going on a full week. Actually, I did Nikita Zoo 2 Tuesdays ago. So for me, being sort of like, I love creating, I love writing, I love editing, like the software side. So I'm sitting here kind of like, I can't wait to get in, coach. Put me in, coach. So after this live stream, I'm editing that Iglesias Shishkin breakdown, and I'll be giving you my method of victory. So thanks. Crispy Chris in the house. When you drop in the Dana White Contender Series picks, Crispy Chris, moving forward, so just so you know, mate, this will be week 4, Dana White Contender Series. It's Tuesday night in America. I don't know where you stay at, but I'm in Australia. So those fights happen my Wednesday morning. I give you my Dana White Contender Series picks my Tuesday night in our Discord. So I think that's going to be your Tuesday morning in the Discord. But so then I give them to you Tuesday night, which my Tuesday night, and then when I wake up Wednesday morning, the fights go down. So about 15 hours in advance, because I still have to watch tape. I'm not just looking at the odds. I like last week we hit 4 favorites in the one. No, last week we hit all 5 favorites, and this was an example of when I watched the tape, I couldn't see a dog winning. You know what I'm saying? And we were right on track with that. The week before, 4 out of the 5 favorites hit. We did hit the dog. We took the Kiwi. We took Cam Rouston. Well, I think he's an Aussie who trained at City Kickboxing. My point is, I delegate my Tuesday night about an hour or so to do film study on the fighters I don't know, the regional guys. So to answer your question, Eister says, bad bet for Iglesias by stoppage. Shishkin never been stopped, so Johnny's right. Eister, fingers crossed, brother. Mar, Team Russell have been advertising an upcoming fight announcement on their socials. I wonder which Russell it is and the opponent. You know what? Initially, I would say it would have been GAR, but watching Antonio have a fight, and then we just saw Russell Jr. have his first fight. I think it might be Gary Russell Jr. He's the older one. I think he's 37 now. His hand speed to me is still there, and when he's, do you remember the back and forth he had with Crawford for like 2 years? Like, I think Russell Jr. might be the one, because it seems to me he's kind of like been rejuvenated and remotivated to kind of have one more run. And so I don't know this. It's just, I didn't even know they were advertising a fight announcement. This is just instinctively me probably guessing it might be Gary Russell Jr., but maybe you guys could let me know when that happens. David says, are you an Oscar Valdez fan? I mentioned I like him even though he's on the downside. Oscar Valdez is one of these guys that when he fights, I watch. Mate, that's sort of that work he gave Liam Wilson, man. I gotta be honest. Oscar Valdez is a guy, when I bet on him, I lose, and when I bet against him, I lose. So at this stage of the game, I'm probably just gonna sit back and enjoy an Oscar Valdez fight. There's certain guys like that. Who's the kid from the UK? The heavyweight, Dave Allen, same way. When I bet against Dave Allen, I lose. And when I bet for Dave Allen, I lose. So moving forward, whenever Dave Allen fights, I'm just going to sit back and watch him. Shout out Sublime. Yep. I don't practice Santeria. Sector MMA over 8.5 for Shishkin fight too. That's the move, boys. Let's jump on it right now. Dude, you put a little stack on 8.5 that we're already finding victories. What are we? We're architects, archaeologists. We're seeking out. We're finding old skeletons and old remains. We're finding victories in the sand. I got rid of ESPN Plus, and that's a platform that has Iglesias and Shishkin. Disney, right? Maybe it's different here in Australia. History Vault. Johnny, thoughts on that's Tyrone McKenna, right? Versus Moran. Can McKenna get it done? That's Tyrone McKenna, not Aaron McKenna. Different McKenna. I'd have to. That's on that same card. Give me 1 second. I just want to see what they have him at. Yeah, Tyrone McKenna's fighting Dylan Moran. It's kind of a 50-50 with the odds. Do you guys want me to break that film study down? That's in 2 weeks too. Rambler, you're clashing with Hatman. Who is Hatman? Rambler. David Eister. I don't know, man. I don't like how Iglesias doesn't have much head movement. And he has fought a lot of guys small compared to him. Yeah. And so are you pulling for the upset, Eister? DJ, he also got robbed against Bruce Carrington. Just for your information, if you watch the fight back, you'll see. Shushu, it's interesting. Carrington, what is Shushu now, 28? He took a couple years off. We know about his story. Carrington, we've seen him look great. We've seen him do just enough to win. We've seen him in close fights. You know what it is about Carrington right now is the fans, the boxing heads like us, and probably Shushu himself, he's still trying to figure out who he is. What is his identity as a professional? You know what I mean? Because he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the feared puncher. But he has a lot of good skill. Like he's skilled enough to win rounds. And so sometimes with fighters like that, and I'm not talking about physically. You guys can know when sometimes you watch a fight and one guy will get caught in between range. He fights the whole fight, maybe not all the way in, all the way out. One of my coaches used to say you have to be either all the way in or all the way out. You can't just hang in the mid-range, right? Especially if you want to either win the fight, get the stoppage, or not get touched up. I think using that metaphor with Carrington, as a pro, it's kind of like he's been in the mid-range. He's not all the way in, he's not all the way out. We really don't know, I feel, what his identity is. And that's not me clowning on him. Like every time Shushu fights, I tune in, man. How he handled Dana Coolwell, that he was really sharp against Deadly Dana Coolwell. He looked great in that fight. Koki, the History Vault, Turkey offered less money to Subriel than T. Matias, and Dalton Smith himself admitted it was less, but Smith is willing. This is why you got to tune into my chat, boys. These guys, the boys know what they're talking about. See, you guys fill me in. I used to wake up, so like Monday through Friday, I told you guys I have a 5:45 a.m. live stream with a client. I always wake up 4:45 to 5 a.m. Before I would get up and check out the mainstream boxing outlets. Now I check out my Discord. I go to the Discord to see what the boys are saying. And, I can guarantee every day when we're on the live stream, no matter how much info I'm giving you guys give me the same back. This is called the law of reciprocity. So without getting too woo-woo or esoteric on you boys, If you find yourself in any place in your life and the energy you're putting in isn't reciprocated, whether it's your intimate relationships, your best friends, your family, your employers, the law of reciprocity is real in terms of fulfillment, success, progression. This chat, it's always reciprocated. So I thank you. Okay, Franklin is good enough to beat him. I think Matias holding out for a better option with MVP on the Serrano card. Okay, Koki's coming from the Puerto Rican boxing news outlets. Adu was backing Canelo, but now I think Crawford can outbox him. I've been flip-flopping too, mate. After talking to the boys on the live stream, and shout out to Robert Floss. Robert Floss is he's a member on my channel. We talk all the time on Instagram. He's a SoCal boy. He's in our Discord. He'll be at the Crawford fights. Talking to him, it's like, and then I called Muscles after our breakdown. It's like, it's going to be really, really hard for me to bet against Crawford. That's all I'm going to say. That's not my official bet. But, like, walk yourself through the hypothetical, okay? Not on your, let's say we put whatever money you put down. Walk yourself through walking, we'll say if we're at a casino. You and I are together. We walk to the sports book in the casino. We walk up to the teller. We tell them we're taking, we give them our money, and then we tell them we're taking Canelo to beat Crawford, and then sit with how that feels. It's hard for me to sit with taking Crawford to just lose. But in that same token, it's hard for me to say out loud that Canelo loses to Bud. It's a hard one. I don't know, maybe because this is one of those rare fights, guys, where the whole world will be watching too. I think some of that pressure the bookies are feeling too. Well, maybe it's just not about the money. Matias might be concerned about fighting Smith under Turkey, trying to favor himself more on the cards. Dalton Smith is a big 140. Dalton Smith, super athletic. And the thing about Dalton Smith is the kid Matthew Germain didn't want to fight him, is my point. He didn't stop Matthew Germain, but Dalton was never in trouble. Dalton, to me, you saw his inexperience against guys who use the entire ring. You saw his inexperience with fighting a guy who wasn't going to give him his fight. It wasn't like Dalton was in trouble. Dalton landed a really nice 1-2 early, I think it was the first round, and kind of stunned Germain. And if you rewatch that fight, Germain just kind of like never really put himself in harm's way. Subriel Matias is not that guy. Subriel Matias is going to be on his front foot and put himself in harm's way. I'm not saying Subriel Matias doubts that he can beat Dalton Smith, but I'm saying that I don't know what the offer is. I don't know what the money is on the line. Sometimes it has to, all the time, it always has to come down to business at the end of the day. What does the contract look like? Subriel's the champion. All the cards are in his camp. So, maybe Matias has learned something from taking that Liam Paro fight as the champ and then losing his belt. And I think, what is Subriel now, in his mid-30s? He doesn't want to lose that belt, especially to a contract that doesn't have all of his boxes ticked. Do you know what I mean? Because you lose that belt again at this stage of the game, what is his path to getting it back? This time around, I bet you he's learned from his past mistakes. I don't know if there are mistakes. I'm not talking about in-the-ring mistakes, but like from business side of things. He's a 2-time world champion now. I don't know. I have to look. I really don't know the hesitation on the contract. It's something to look into. Instead of JSB Insiders, you should change the name JSB Archaeologists. Yeah, man, that's kind of our little inside joke. Possible. Watch how Iglesias fights. Doesn't get his head off the line at all. Iglesias can't be as bad as Tony Ferguson. Guys, I was shocked. I mean, watch the Tony Ferguson Saul Poppies fight. Don't watch the fight, but they put the highlights up on Instagram. Ferguson is literally fighting and punching with his head here. And Saul Poppy looked like a guy who never took a punch before. I never heard of the guy, but that's why I've never heard of him. I also think minus 1,200 for Nunes to stop Diaz is nonsense. That's insane. Is that the... See, guys, whoever makes these odds David, they must have just made these odds looking at Sugar's knockout to win ratio. Mankey crazy in the house. ¿Cómo estás? Buongiorno. Mochi mochi. Who did it better against Dana? Chop Chop. I thought Shushu. I gotta be honest with you. I like Chop Chop, but I felt that fight could have gone either way. Chop Chop was, dude. Dana Coolwell was winning rounds against Gonzalez, mate. Against Shushu, he had to survive. On ESN News, Chop Chop was talking about a Shushu fight next year with Robert Garcia. Chop Chop's a fun prospect. RGBA. Great story. We know about, I mean, everybody has a story in boxing. We know about the adversity he's had to overcome in his life, personal issues. If you guys don't know Chop Chop's story, look it up. I love his style. Anybody who comes out of that Robert Garcia camp is going to be a great body puncher. You guys know I love body punchers. That's a good fight. Chop Chop versus Carrington is a great fight. I'd love to cover that fight. I like both guys. I would actually take Chop Chop against Bruce. Like right now, maybe, I don't know, because Bruce is super sharp. Bruce is good. He's really accurate. He just has to keep the volume up. I don't know. Well, wait. I don't like doing future fights. Thanks for the heads up, though. Put on effect. DJ Green, Nunes by knockout is ridiculous. That's insane. David Eister, I mean, he may just do that, but to people that forget that Diaz took bombs from Navarrete and only got stopped in the last 15, yeah, but sometimes, guys, one fight, you take bombs one fight, you can't take them the next fight. And Navarrete one-off punches harder than Nunes. They're different style of punchers. You know what I'm saying? Like, Nunes is a volume guy. He pours it on you. Like, Nunes is like William Zepeda with more power, but, like, on the front foot. Volume. Always coming forward. Always moving forward. Navarrete, this unorthodox guy, throwing punches from odd angles. Diaz has been in the same wars, though. Yeah. Marjani, will you be covering So-Called versus Santana? I think there's a possibility of an upset. Yeah, man. I always do my due diligence with Steven Nelson. I covered his fight against Diego Pacheco. I covered the fight before that. So, yeah, I'm a loyalist towards Bomac. You know, Bomac follows me on Facebook. We go back and forth. Not a lot. Similar to, like, any professional relationship. I can message Bomac and he'll message me back. And so when I covered Nelson the fight before, Diego, he sent me a message, appreciate me covering his boy. And I like Nelson's a quirky cat. You know, he makes his own clothes. I think he has like his pilot's license. He's like an entrepreneur. Steven Nelson is a cool cat, man. Reckless Santana, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. I'm definitely covering it. David Eiser, and Nunes just went the distance with Rikishi, who isn't super durable. Rakhmonov win isn't aged well. A guy on Pro Box just flattened Rakhmonov earlier this year, and Nunes didn't do that. Yeah, look, I'm not a guy who plays. I've never historically done well trying to do reverse boxing maths in terms of like we got a guy coming up, and then looking at past performances other than, I mean, he fought. You said what fight didn't age well? Rakhmonov, Sugar Nunes, or maybe you're talking about Velez. Mankey crazy. Yo, Johnny, if you're free to share, what's the real story behind Coolwell's? So the real story, I talked about this before on the page, Mankey, with Dana's positive test, was in his last fight, the Athletic Commission, they were already on a plane back to Australia. The Athletic Commission said that they had found an abnormal sort of thing in the test and they needed to do a second test. And they had already administered the second test. And because they couldn't fly back, they wanted them to fly back to America after they had landed in Australia. And it was just, and I talked to Dan, his coach, Hinterland Boxing. This is from his mouth. They were strong-arming Dana Coolwell with money to fly back and pay for a second test because they said the second test was unreadable. And Dana said in all of his time as a pro And you know, his head coach said of all the fighters he's fought, this has never happened before. And so they instantly said that you're going to get a 12-month suspension, which has never been done before. And then Boxing Scene reported on that, and it was like, and Dana's camp was like, you know, his wife, they just had another kid. This would have been 3 months ago. She was pregnant. Their fight timeline wasn't. They weren't going to be able to take another fight until 2026 anyway. And rather than flying back, they were getting strong armed for thousands of dollars, and they just chose not to fight it. You could follow Hinterland Boxing on Instagram. I think it's Coach Steven. He'll respond to you. And they're not very public guys. Like they were getting strong armed. He talked about it on a podcast. DJ Christopher Diaz is kind of durable. In boxing, boys, whenever we use the word kinda, I mean, like, think about it. Let's break down the word kinda. You know, when do we use the word kinda and it's a good thing? I mean, she's kinda aight. Like, it's kinda good. Or, I mean, kinda means, we know what kinda means. Side note, haven't seen Goat. I know, Goat popped back in, though. He said he was back. Nunes doesn't punch hard. Don't deny that. Yeah, just volume. Yeah, I couldn't. The Rockmont fight, it's under. You have to go to BoxRec and type in IBA Pro. So Sugar Nunes has one fight. He knocked out Rakhmonov in the 11th. What do you for a guy who knocks a guy out, stops him, and you say that it's on his BoxRec, it's under IBA Pro. Johnny, thoughts on Nelson Ryko? Covered that already, kinda. Vela has been in some wars, true. Did you see the UFC 322 lineup? Let's pull it up. UFC 322. Oh, yeah, the boys are throwing bombs. Adu says that Kookaburra's cutting. Yeah, guys, I live in a treehouse. I told you that. Like, if you look, trees, backyard, swimming pool, trees, gym down there. Yeah, there's birds all around. That's why, coming from Youngstown, Ohio, my first 18 years, the only animals I saw were, like, pigeons. What else? That's it. I like Australia. All right, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam at 170. Mate, Valentina, yeah. Weili Zhang, she vacated her belt at 15 to fight Valentina at flyweight for the title. Leon Edwards versus Prates. Let's go. It's a good fight card. That's in New York. Interesting, Jack's fight in New York and not where he's from. Because they're doing that UFC Perth card. I wonder if he wasn't going to be ready for it. Because he could have had a world title fight in his hometown in Perth. He comes from that, I think he comes from Scrappy Boxing MMA. If I'm not mistaken. But they bring him to New York, get the advanced word, how to watch. I'm only seeing 3 fights on that card right now. But guys, we're approaching an hour. I got to stay tuned to the channel. It's 7:30 a.m. my time. I'm going to be going live again today. I'm going to be uploading my breakdown of Iglesias versus Shishkin, my prediction. I'm going to tell you my method of victory. We got a lot of fights. We're back, baby. Hopefully, I mean, if you won last week, if you took my Dana White Contender Series picks, we're on a hot streak, 10 in a row. I took the weekend off. We didn't have much boxing. It wasn't Shaw. I'm not betting on Albert Bell. I'm not betting on the Misfits boxing. No shade to those boys. I like where the sport's at. It's my favorite sport. Boxing, we got a huge month. August was amazing. The channel is growing. Our Discord is growing. Join the community. The link's pinned in the comment section below. Stay tuned to the channel. I appreciate all the support. You guys are tapping in all the time. You guys are loyal. You're the reasons why, I